This is Renee Rubalcava with AutoNet, and today I want to talk a little bit about grabbing some external data, shapefiles or whatnot, and loading them into ArcGIS Online and working with them a little bit, enhancing that data a bit more. So I'm just going to go ahead and cold here, and I'm at the LA County GIS data portal, and they have a pretty extensive list of data sets on their website. And you can go here, and they've got tons of different data sets for LA County. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab something pretty basic here. Let's grab the school districts here. It's going to take me to another page. And it's they give me a little bit of description here. So these are the school districts for 2011. They've got districts for elementary, middle schools, and the high schools, all separated out differently. So let's go and download this file. That starts working. All right. Okay, so I've got my files here. These are I have a layer file, and I got my shape file. So let's go ahead and work with this. I'm going to my content here. Okay, so to add an item into ArcGIS Online, I just click on Add Item here. I have a couple options. I have from my computer, from the web, and application. Let's go from my computer, go choose File. Get that zip file there. Okay, cool. Now I'm just going to label this Schools. This could be inside of mine, so I don't really care. I'll add the item. Give it a second to upload here. So at this point, when you add the item, the shapefile, to your ArcGIS Online account, it's going to go ahead and create a hosted feature service for you. So you just have to wait about a minute or so, and it'll go ahead and create that service with your data, depending on the size of the shapefile as well too. If it's a very large shapefile, it can take a little bit longer, but it typically takes under a minute to throw this together. So when that's done, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open this in Map Viewer. And it's automatically going to go ahead and zoom to the area for that shapefile. So, all right, so we've got some cool information here. So that's pretty easy, right? Just able to bring that in pretty nicely. And let's just go ahead and leave it as the default render for right now. Let's just take a look at this data and see what it looks like here. So open the table for this. So we've got a few fields here. We've got the district, whether it's a high school, elementary school. We got addresses, phone numbers. Got some other information in here as well. I'm not sure what the STU students count, maybe. Tough to tell here. But anyway, so there's a bunch of information in here that we can go over. All right, so at this point, you could be done if you wanted to, and just leave this as is, and not really do much else with it if you didn't want to do anything with it. If you're already set and this is good enough for you, then you're good to go. However, we could enhance this data a bit more. So let's say we want to get some demographic information about these data sets. So let's go ahead and do something with that now. Okay, so we're going to click on the analysis button, and let's see what we can come up with here. So there's different options. You got summarize data, so we're not really going to worry about summarizing anything in here. We're not going to summarize within or nothing. Find locations. I mean, we're not going to be finding anything with this data set. But maybe we can do some data enrichment. All right, so we're going to enrich the layer a bit more. If you click on the little eye here, the information tab will tell you a little bit about how data enrichment works. So basically, it's going to be able to grab data that's compiled demographic data that you can add to your existing data sets. And that's a really neat little feature that you can do here. Now be aware that enriching your data does use ArcGIS Online credits. So if you have a developer account and you're going to be enriching your data. You have 50 credits a month to be able to work with that. So just be careful doing this a lot. I've made the mistake of running multiple scenarios with enriching my data, doing a lot of it, excessive stuff, and I ate through my credits after a little while. I wasn't doing anything serious, I was messing around with it and trying to see what I could do. So, okay, so if we want to enrich some data, first we want to do is choose a layer to enrich with new data. Perfect. So we're going to select some variables from the enriched data that we want to bring in. Now you get your little data browser here, and you have a lot of different things. There's a lot in here. We have everything from population to poverty, marital status, supply and demand, at-risk factors. And let's just take a look at, for these school districts, let's say we want to see spending, right? So let's think of, we're going to look at the school districts in a way of, for each district, what does the spending look like here, whether there's people that live here in each district, right? And we could do a bunch of different stuff. We could always go back to, come back over here. Again, we could go and we could look at race if we wanted to. We could look at number of households, see which school districts are supplying education to the most households and housing. We could look at income, things like that. And income is stuff that's pretty basic. You can get things like that if you wanted to, probably from the census data, and just kind of pull it in. Some of these other things are kind of analyzed bits of data. So something like spending, right? So let's look at spending here, and so spending on let's see, clothing, education, entertainment, financial, food, health, personal care, housing and household, life insurance and pensions, miscellaneous, spending total, transportation, travel. So we're looking at school districts. So let's take a look at what people are spending on education in those school districts, right? And there's different things we can say here. So let's maybe interested on per school district. What are people spending on? Let's see here. What's a good one? I'm not really too concerned about college tuition. If we're looking at elementary schools, it's tough to know what people are spending on tuition and whatnot, but they may have other kids in school as well. So let's see here. Tuition for other schools, book supplies for college, other school supplies. What was book supplies here? Let's just go with total for the education, right? So we'll go with that one, and we'll apply that. Okay, so we've got our education variable in here, and you could do a lot more fine-grained analysis here if you wanted to. You could add in bits like maybe you want to know what the number of households are, as well as what the total spending on education is. You can do that in here. The marital status of those households, you can add that in here, and really kind of do some pretty neat little analysis of the demographic data on areas like this, right? So define areas to enrich. So we're not doing, we already have polygons. So if these were points, it would be a different story. We would generate some new areas with point data if we're enriching it. We're not doing that in this case, because if we're doing if we had points, and I showed this in the previous video, you would do drive time analysis around those points to generate these areas. So you would say if we had the schools, for example, the points for each school, we could say within a 5-minute drive time from each school, what is the spending of education? Now that doesn't necessarily tell us that those people are sending their kids to that school, or that they even have kids in that household. We don't know that, but you could run that analysis in that way with points. But we already have the polygons of the school districts, so we don't really need to worry about that. So number 4 is just give it a name. So I'm just going to leave the default here. Just testing this out at the moment. I'm going to use the current map extent and check my credits. So I show credits, total records 78, credits acquired 0.78. Okay, so that's not an awful lot. So I've got 50 credits I can work with, so I'm not going to use a whole lot of credits here, which is perfect. So it's going to run this analysis. All right, so our analysis is completed here, and we've got this new polygon here. So let's go ahead and let's turn off the school districts, and let's go ahead and start looking at this data set here. So our enriched data set. All right, so it's the same data we had before, except now we've got these education spending per school district. So these are household education spending. So let's start to do some mapping with this. So education, here we go. All right, so we've got high levels of spending inside the city of LA. Now that kind of makes sense. City of LA is incredibly dense city and population-wise, and it makes sense that the LA Unified School District, which serves the city of LA, would have a very high spending education limit there. So I like the way that the smart mapping handled this for me. I could go ahead and I could tweak it a bit more, and I could raise the bar up here some and lower it, but I'm actually pretty happy with the way that smart mapping has handled this for me. So I'm going to finish that up there. Maybe I'll change the base map in this case. Let's see here. And let me come back to smart mapping, because smart mapping is smart enough to know. So maybe I am interested in above and below. Let's see what that looks like. So in this case, everything above spending of $73 million is going to be in these reddish colors. Everything below $73 million is going to be in this kind of light green. So as you can see, some of the outer school districts not near the city of LA or the LA Unified School District don't spend nearly as much as the LA Unified School District does. Some of these here, I'm kind of surprised here, spend under the 73 million. And these are school districts that are kind of what's this, Palos Verdes Estate down here. Okay, so Torrance does, but Redondo Beach, I'm a little surprised, and El Segundo aren't spending as much. But see, that's interesting stuff. Now you can start exploring your data here. I didn't really realize that. We forgot about poor little Catalina here. I didn't even look at that. So Catalina does spend quite a bit as well in their particular school district. So that's some above and below. Let's look at the extremes. So no, as expected, the LA Unified School District is the highest spender. On the extremes, and the lowest spender are some of these other very low populated areas out here. So this is the Antelope Valley Union. Let's see, so the district is, Antelope Valley Union High Gorman Elementary. So it's a very low population area out here, at least compared to LA Unified School District. So their amount of spending is not going to match anywhere near what households are spending in education at the LA Unified School District. Let's see, I just kind of like doing a high to low in here. And again, you see when we start using smart mapping to analyze our data, it's looking at what base map I'm currently using, and it's going to choose my colors for me, which is perfect. It saves me, someone who has the cartographic skills of a gorilla with one eye, from being able to try and figure out what colors are going to work best on my map. So we've got that. That's all done. Now I can go ahead and I can save this map, and I'll just call this school education spending schools Save my map. And now I'm all done. I mean, I could use this map in with the JavaScript API and create an application for it. Or if I am working, say, for LA County and I'm analyzing these school districts and I want to share this with people, I can just share the map itself. I could have it embedded inside of a website, or I can create a web app. So if we create a web app, we have some pretty neat options available to us. We can create a basic viewer, which you can see here gives you a little preview of what viewers look like. And you can preview the app here. So if we come over here, click on preview, it's going to open up that application with my web map. All right, so school education spending here, and I didn't bother trying to configure my pop-ups. The API and online are smart enough to know how to handle things like dates and stuff. And here, if I wanted to, I could adjust some of the way values for numbers are shown. But this little viewer here has everything someone would need if they're going to use it. I want to share this with other people inside the county. They could print it, navigate it. They could look at the layers and they could turn things on and off if they wanted. So that's cool. Some of the other, oops, let me click that one. Share, create web app. So we've got some other ones here. I can build a story map with this. So I'll provide some Finder. I wouldn't use crowdsourcing in this one, but just a basic compare maps layers, explore, summarize data. I'm not going to do an elevation profile, Finder, a summary viewer. So let's preview the summary viewer, see what this ends up looking like. And again, I haven't tested any of this before. I'm recording it here to show you. But yeah, it's just bring it in and see what we got. All right, so okay, so summary viewer is kind of cool. So it's going to show enriched ID, summary for the enriched FID, and a summary for the total education spent in LA County. All right, so a pretty big number here of household dollars spent for LA County. And I could probably adjust I wonder if I adjust the pop-up for this one to turn this to a dollar value, maybe it would add a dollar sign here. Again, something else I can look at when I'm playing with this. But the idea here is that you could create these very simple little web apps and share them with people within your organization to share the web maps that you're creating and updating them with this analyzed data that you're doing. And that's all pretty simple to do by just grabbing I grabbed some shape files from an LA County data website, upload an ArcGIS Online, enrich my data, and now have a enriched layer and a web map that I can share with others to be able to communicate this information. So play around with your ArcGIS Online account. Try out some of this analysis stuff that you could do. Try working with points and creating drive time analysis, or maybe just some buffer analysis. When you do the GeoEnrichment, it basically uses this drive time analysis for the GeoEnrichment to figure out within 1 minute of a point to do something. You could do all that, and it's really great. All right, so have some fun. Thank you.